Well, hello. Thank you for tuning in and welcome to Inspiring You Live with your girl, Kim C. Shaw, your people champion. If you are tuning in for the very first time, welcome. And if you're tuning back in, previously you tuned in before, welcome back. Great to see you. Today is the sixth segment of my series on personal development. And in this series, I'm sharing on self-leadership. Remember what we shared in the previous episode. For us to be great leaders, we must first be great at leading ourselves. What is self-leadership, you ask? Well, self-leadership is simply intentionally influencing our thinking, our feelings, and our actions towards successfully accomplishing the life goals and objectives that we set for ourselves. It's not rocket science, but it can be challenging to do that. As always, if what I'm sharing today resonates with you, I would really love for you to continue tuning into my weekly broadcast and invite someone else you think may benefit from what I'm sharing today. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Are you ready? Let's go. To recap, self-leadership simply means full responsibility, taking that full responsibility for your outcome, setting clear direction for your life, and having the right tools to manage all those priorities you have coming in. Self-leadership is pure commitment to you, to yourself, doing what's necessary to win. I created this live series to help you internalize 4 key characteristics of self-leadership. And I'm going to bring them up so I can remind you of what they are. So remember what we talked about with self-leadership. The first one is knowing who you are. The second, knowing what you do. The third, knowing what you need to learn. I think that one is so super important. I love that one. Of course, I do because I'm an educator, right? Knowing what you know or using what you know. That is the fourth one. So when we talk about self-leadership, boom, we're going to pick up where we left off last week. Please do not forget to go back and view the first 5 sessions to get caught up. I have them on YouTube. You can also see them here on LinkedIn. You can see them on Facebook. They're all over the place. But make sure you go back and tune in because everything will click. As we've determined from that very first characteristic, knowing what you do, that is your behavior. We can talk about ourselves all day in terms of self-leadership and set up a plan but as the saying goes, the proof is in the pudding. You can plan all day, you can plan all night, but if you don't put things into action, then your plans are moot. So the other saying is, I'll believe it when I see it. Right? You've heard of that one. People have said that to you. I know people have said that to me. Remember though, my friends, one thing for sure is you have no one else to prove anything to but yourself. So what you put in plan, what you put in action is all about you. And it's all about you being accountable to yourself. Remember, that's what we talked about. That's what self-leadership is. When you make a series of decisions about what you intend to do and you start doing them, your behavior is going to be in line with and supporting those intentions. Simple. But if you say you're going to do something and then you allow yourself to get distracted or you lose the commitment to a particular goal, then your behavior is not supporting your intention. The only person who can bring that back online is you. So to keep track of our behaviors, hey, thank you guys for tuning in. So to keep track of our behaviors, I encourage you really to do some self-study. Leverage great leaders in this area. I've read this book several times when I was studying this in school, but awesome. Christopher Neck and Charles Mance. They have an excellent book called Mastering Self-Leadership, Empowering Yourself for Personal Excellence. Make sure you get the 6th edition. Yes, because these are rewrites, because we learn more about this subject. We learn more about ourselves each and every day. And to do that, you have to continue to study. So they write, and this is one part of this book that really resonates with me, because it was, it'll resonate with you too when I share. They write about the power of positive and negative cues in our environment. Now, what's the negative and positive cue? Negative cues are the things that distract us or stop us from doing the things that we really want to do or that we really should be doing. If you want to cut down on the amount of time you spend watching TV, but you have that big, luxurious 75-inch 4K TV with 230 cable channels and every streaming device ever known to man, yes, you've set up a negative cue for yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. Trust, because I got that stuff set up too. There's nothing wrong with that, but being conscious and cognizant of those things that could be distracting and taking you away from your goals, that's where your challenge comes in. The temptation to turn on that television and then start scanning those programs and flicking those channels is super evident because it's right there. But on the other hand, having a smaller, he says in the book, having that smaller screen, and of course I paraphrase because, he said some different stuff, but this is real world for us. This is having a smaller screen on the other hand and fewer channels. It can kind of distract you or make you less wanting to watch that. But I think you can still have those things. But on the other hand, you could have something like a stack of books by where you watch TV, your journal, your books. That chair, your favorite chair, can help distract you from the television, because in your head, these are things that you set up for yourself and you really want to get to doing them. Also, think about those goals and those timelines that you set up. You set them up yourself. That helps me, because like I shared in previous sessions, I like to feel like I've accomplished something at the end of the day. And that is so important for me. So when I want to watch Netflix or what have you, and I know that I haven't finished something, that thought to say, okay, I need to get back to that comes to me first. So remember, positive things or positive cues are things that influence you to do the things that meet your objectives, that meet your goals. So that stack of books, keeping that stack of books handy when you go sit in that chair to relax, that ergonomic chair that you work from, that's just like so inviting for you to sit in to watch TV, but also to read. Or something like having a great phone plan. If you got to make long distance calls or calls for your business, having your car be like the most comfortable car that you need to have and all set up and everything set up in that car that's going to meet your needs if you drive and you travel a lot. Those are all positive cues. I think positive cues also include your tools that you use day to day, your calendars, you have your Post-it notes, you have your reminders, you have schedulers, different things like that. Your task list is another thing. Remember, we talked about that in a previous session. And being with people who remind you of those behaviors that you really desire to have. Need to have these things all around you, because if you don't, you get even more distracted and you pull away from accomplishing those things that you want to accomplish. Boom. There it is. That is a very short, sweet, to the point for your characteristic, knowing what you do, and that's your behavior. These are things that I've outlined in terms of our behaviors that are going to help us keep on pressing on to that journey to self-leadership and getting what we want out of life. So now what? Now what? Oh, yeah. If you want to grow, you want to keep learning. I shared last week that we were going to talk this week about setting up learning plans, lifelong learning plans. Growth is so important because our brains have to stay stimulated. So you have to do things, or you need to do things that are going to keep you going. A quote from Brian Tracy that has always stuck with me, that's always resonated with me, because this is basically my thought process too. He says, commit yourself to lifelong learning. The most valuable asset you will ever have is your mind and what you put in it. Type in the chat if y'all agree with me on that. Is lifelong learning a valuable part of your vision? Share with me. Share with me if that is a valuable part of your lifelong vision. Guess what? If it's not, yes, awesome. If it's not right now, it's never too late to start something. It's never too late to add something. I always say the only late that you ever have is the late that you never start doing. So start doing. As you may have already figured out, lifelong learning means that we recognize and we appreciate the learning that does not stop when we leave school. Regardless of when you leave college, what level of schooling you've had, lifelong learning is just that. You continue to learn. It doesn't even have to be in a formal setting. The irony of it all is with the crazy fast changes, technology. I just found out there's a new, I don't know if you hear the music in the background, but that's a new add-on feature to my streaming device. I'm like, what? Technology continues to change, but so we have to continue to stay on it. Yes, it is, Solomon. Fast technology changes, the expansion of international relationships, our ability to connect like we're connecting right now all across the globe. That's awesome. Global economies, things are growing. Our ability to learn and continue to seek knowledge are essential aspects of life as we know it today. I think it's a life or death. That's what I'm just saying. Lifelong learning is a part of self-leadership. Yes, it is. That is a commitment by self-leaders to seek knowledge continuously. Never, ever stop learning. I think from an employer's perspective, think about this as an example. Employers or people who are seeking to hire talent, they demonstrate that through their appreciation for continuous learning and lifelong learning when they write up their job postings or their job descriptions, and those job descriptions include equivalencies and statements like things like a university degree or equivalent is required or desired or preferred. What they're saying is that while qualifications are valued, yes, so is the learning that comes away from school. So again, having that balance to where you're continuing to learn. I'm going to share something with you in a few minutes, but I want to pick your brain right here. If you commit to lifelong learning, you will keep your finger on the pulse of the things that are changing and developing in your environment. You're not going to be in a silo. You're not going to have your face closed off. You're not going to have blinders on. There are things that are going on around us, around the world. Does this mean that you're restricted in what you learn? Answer that question. Does this mean that you're restricted in the things that you learn? Can you just go off and learn a whole bunch of things? There's a lot of things that we can learn. In other words, if you're in a specific field, does that mean that you should just stick to that field and just learn things that are within that field? Awesome. So no matter what your field of work or your study, no matter what it is, your value and your understanding of the world increases as you learn all kinds of stuff, all kinds of subjects. I think geography, geology, anthropology, music, art, sports, history, languages, business, technology, agriculture, cooking, all kinds of things. They all enrich what we know, whether you work in that broad area or super broad area like the sciences that are completely broad. You can have so much to learn and grow in the sciences, or a super narrow one on something like micro brewed beer. That's an interesting field, but it's vast. It's super vast. In his book, The Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Malcolm Gladwell. Malcolm Gladwell describes how people become successful at what they do through the value of practice. You don't just learn something and just keep on going. He said that it takes, in his theory, he proposes that it takes about 10,000 hours of practice to master something. And that's regardless of whether it's a sport, it's music, it's something in the academic field. We have to keep practicing if we want to become proficient at whatever that is. Human nature, believe it or not, and this is interesting to me because I've had this happen. Human nature is for people to look at successful people and say, wow, she sure lucked out. Oh my goodness, he did that so easy. Oh, he's so lucky. She's so lucky. Those statements are kind of short-sighted, as we know that success and mastery do not normally come easily. They require our attention, they require learning, and they definitely require plenty of practice. You're doing that thing day in, you're doing that thing day out, and you are learning. Thank you so much. I'm being my own moderator too. Now, self-leadership does not mean that you can create absolutely anything for yourself. I'm just saying. That's not what that's not what I'm saying. Although it might seem like a nice idea, it's just not realistic. Most of us do not wield the power of a wand to change economies, to influence politics. That's a good one. To stop weather disasters or ugly weather like the weather we're having here in Florida right now. We do, however, have the choice of our ability to choose the behaviors and those things that we do to help lead ourselves effectively. That's what this whole course is about. This whole series is about that I'm sharing. Just like anything else I've shared in this series thus far, a plan is a valuable part of our journey. It's the same for lifelong learning. You need to have a plan. I'm not going to hold you much longer. Yes, 10,000 hours is about 40 hours in 5 years. And just think about that. That's just one thing. Good input. Thank you. So what's a learning plan? Drop your thoughts in the chat for me. What's a learning plan? What kind of learning plans do you have set up for yourselves? Or do you have any? Quickly put, because I've told you I value your time. I don't keep you long. I just give you them quick hits because I want you to take it, use it, take it. It's learn a little bit, do a little bit. Learn a little bit, do a little bit. A learning plan is very specific. We talked about the other plans earlier on in the previous sessions. The learning plan, no plan exactly. A learning plan is very specific. Although you can incorporate it into your goals and your vision documents that we created previously, but it might also be written in the back of your journal. You can hold it on your computer. You can in a file somewhere. You can display it as a poster or something and hang it on your mirror in your room. I got one up there. You can do that. Hang it wherever you want. But whatever form it takes, it has to be meaningful to you, number one. It needs to be looked at regularly, number two. And it also has to be flexible enough to reflect your evolving life and your goals. Don't get too staunch on it. Awesome. Schedule your learning each week. That is excellent. And a part of what you all are doing right now is being on this live. For example, to keep it super basic, if you finish a 2-year college program and you start as your first job as a line manager, frontline manager, that plan could possibly be finishing a degree or getting a degree that's related in that field that you're in a college program. Or you may even want to attend workshops twice a year that help you keep up to date with the field. Workshops twice a year, go to conferences. Or you can even do it in a different field that you are aspiring to go to. The key is to do these things. The other thing is, if your career takes you in another direction, you're going to have to decide whether you want to alter your learning plan or see it through to the end. But it's up to you. Don't be too hard on yourself. I want to change. How many times have we thought about we go to college and we change our majors? We've all done that. But depending on what you are doing, you may enjoy and benefit, of course, from changing the plan from time to time. So be open to it because you have to keep it fresh. You have to keep it alive and you have to want to do it. We talked about that earlier on as well. You may also decide that your learning is going from traveling to different countries, meeting new people, exploring new cultures. Doing that is also going to require that you're really flexible with who you are, flexible about where, flexible about when, flexible about with whom you travel. Use every opportunity as a learning opportunity. Yes, since I am a learning professional, you're probably thinking I'm pretty staunch and rigid about the types of learning I recommend. No, I'm pretty open. I just love learning no matter where it comes from. I always say knowledge can come in many forms. It's just whether we take that opportunity to recognize that situation as a learning opportunity. Can somebody share in the chat? Can you guys share it? Can you all or someone share in the chat? All of you share in the chat. Some things that you can think of. I have several of them in mind and I'm going to share them with you, but I would love to see your thoughts on some things that you do to learn, to get more knowledge, to expand your lifelong learning. Share what you do. My friend that said, I schedule my learning each week. What other types of learning do you do that help expand you and help grow? How do you apply those learnings? Yes, nice. Yep. Excellent. Thank you. Network, yes, excellent, exactly, because we learn from people, we learn from each other. Awesome. I hope you all are bringing your pens and your papers to these sessions because this is how you learn. I know this is how I do. I write, I learn, I reflect back. Here are some additional lifelong learning ideas that I could think of, and I'm going to show them to you right now, and I'm going to show them to you bigger. Reading. Of course, that was one of my first. Kay Rivers said reading, networking. Martha, reading. Yes, that's the first one. Yay! That happened to be my family, so we all do the same thing. Awesome. Reading. Visiting the library. You ever toured a lab? I did. Super interesting. Scouring the internet. Yes, there's a lot of great information out there, a lot of great journals out there, things that you can learn that you possibly wouldn't know. Let me tell you something. I learned a whole bunch of stuff. Yes. Traveling to different places. Got that on there too. Thanks for sharing. Taking workshops on different areas of interest, from business to the arts to cooking. The options are endless. There are so many workshops. Oh my goodness, there's so many things. That's why I thank you all for tuning into mine, because there's so many things. Job shadowing if you're still in corporate. Spending time with people who are really good at their job and observing them while they work. Seeking out professionals, using other documents, absolutely. One of the other things that I love doing is informational interviewing over coffee. Over a Zoom, over a chat, whatever it is. That's setting up an interview with someone who has a specific skill set that you want to learn a whole lot about. My Papa John Maxwell, he does that all the time, but I love doing that. I've always done that, and it's great because you can glean so much information from other people. Setting up an interview with somebody, like I said, to learn something specific about what they do. Building, construction, art projects, anything that allows you to practice and do hands-on, because I'm a kinesthetic learner, but anything that allows you to do hands-on while you're learning, those are always great. Watching great videos, attending conferences, joining a community sports team, learn the sport. Added benefits, you get the exercise and you get to stay active, and that's going to help you develop your mind. That helps you keep your mind going, keep your mind going, keep your mind going. The other one is really great, and a lot of times we do not think about this one. That's teaching something to someone else. We learn by doing, but we also learn by teaching. When I'm in class, I do a lot of called teach backs. I have my students, just so I know, the participants, just so I know that they're getting this and they're learning, that I have them teach the class back what it is that they've learned. I know how they interpreted it based on how they're delivering it back. It also helps in that retention. And of course, the usuals. Yes. All righty. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Going to the university. You can go to formal courses at college. You don't have to go into a program to take a course. university or college, non-accredited courses at colleges or universities, general interest courses, non-credit, e-learning courses. There's so many things to do. Boom! I'm almost done. We made huge strides in our journey to self-leadership to this point. I really, really appreciate you all for tuning in. Tune in next week. We're going to be sharing further. Yes! But you guessed it. We did so much. How do we stay motivated on this journey to self-leadership? How do we stay motivated? I want to give you some good hints on how to stay motivated. What an awesome time I had sharing with you in this short session, as I do always. Thank you again for tuning in. If you were able to glean some nuggets to get you thinking more on self-leadership and use this information to help someone else grow, someone else develop, please be sure to tune into my next sessions for more on self-leadership, where we continue to dig in deeper. As with many entrepreneurial organizations, again, my company, Inspiring You, thrives and grows best by word of mouth. Please do not keep me a secret. If you're enjoying your experience with me, share it. Tell someone else, 3 to 5 businesses, people, one person, I see a light bulb, I'm loving life, that you believe would benefit from my program. And as for always, I'm here for your support. You can reach out to me. Follow me on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Go to my website to learn more about what I do and how I can help you and your organization. www.inspiringyou.world. That's my website. Many more. I have personal, professional enrichment development tools for you. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and you all have an amazing rest of your day. I'll see you next week. Take care.